Well, if you're watching today, congratulations. You've made it all the way to the end of this series, round 20 of The Good Fight, our journey through the New Testament book of 2 Timothy. And I don't know about you, but I found it so helpful and so encouraging along the way, and I hope that it has been for you too. And so as we wrap up today with the final pieces of this letter, we want to just kind of explore again how this is impactful for us as we discover more about trusting and following Jesus. And so today we're going to be in chapter 4, starting at verse 19 down to the end of the letter, verse 22, where Paul will then sign his name and send it away to Timothy. And so here's what he writes. He says, "Greet Prisca and Aquila and the household of Onesiphorus. Erastus remained at Corinth, and I left Trophimus, who was ill, at Miletus. Do your best to come before winter. Eubulus sends greetings to you, as do Pudens and Linus and Claudia and all the brothers. The Lord be with your spirit. Grace be with you." Now, this section of the letter is what we often refer to as the final greetings. It's kind of the concluding thoughts. It's the little details that are left at the end of the letter before, again, it's just kind of sealed and delivered. It's the last instructions Paul gives to Timothy, and he starts with just this sense of warmth. And here's what I want you to do, Timothy. There's a few key people I want you to just kind of express something to you. I want you to extend greetings, to let them know that I'm thinking about them and praying for them and concerned for them, and just kind of pass on, as it were, my regards. And so he says, first of all, greet Prisca, which is a shortened version of the name Priscilla, and Aquila. Now, you may recognize these two names as a wife and husband team that are mentioned in the book of Acts. Prisca, or Priscilla, and Aquila ministered with Paul in Corinth, and later on they were in Ephesus. If you remember as well from the book of Acts, it was this couple in ministry who pulled Apollos aside to help explain better the way of Jesus. Apollos, this incredible teacher who people would hang on his every word. They had a ministry to him where they kind of encouraged and helped him understand the things of the Lord a little bit better. And so Prisca and Aquila are specifically mentioned here, where Paul says, hey, I want you to make sure that you greet them on my behalf. As well, the household of Onesiphorus. Now, you might recall that Onesiphorus has been mentioned already earlier on in chapter 1, verse 6. It was actually Onesiphorus who brought practical help and aid to Paul in Rome, sent from the church. And so Onesiphorus has been a partner in that ministry. He's risked his life in some ways to be helpful to the cause and to Paul. And so he says, I just want to make sure that Onesiphorus knows I'm thinking of him, and I want you to greet him. Erastus, he says, remained at Corinth, and I left Trophimus, who was ill, at Miletus. Again, Paul is now laying out, hey, we've already seen this earlier. There's some people who, one went to Galatia, somebody's in Dalmatia. These two, again, he's mentioning they've gone to different places on assignment for the cause of Christ. And so Erastus, who was a treasurer for the city of Corinth, and we know that from Romans chapter 16, verse 23, he remained in the city of Corinth, and so that's where he presently is. Trophimus got sick on their journey toward Jerusalem, and so Paul said, I had to leave him at Miletus. He was unable to continue the journey there with me. You read about that in Acts chapter 20. But then Paul says to Timothy, if it's possible, I want to make sure that you can get here before winter. I'm looking forward to see you face to face. I want to see you face to face. There's something about that that's important to me. And if you're able to come and you can bring the books and the parchments and the cloak that I talked about, that would be so helpful, Timothy. But do your best to get here before winter sets in, because once again, travel is a lot more dangerous in winter, and Paul may be executed before that. And if he's going to be there any length of time, there's certain things that he's going to need. And so there's just this encouragement, if it's at all possible, try to get here before winter, Timothy. But then we have what we might call the final four that get referenced in this letter. And they're not people that Paul wants to send greetings to. It's people he's sending greetings from. And he mentions 3 men and 1 woman. Now, Eubulus, who's mentioned here, is Greek. The other 3 are Latin. And the Linus that's mentioned here actually may be the same Linus who became the first bishop in Rome. And while we don't know much about any of these people, Paul does and Timothy does, and Paul is sending on the greetings from them to Timothy, as well as from all the brothers or the rest of the church that is there. And then he concludes this beautiful letter with this final statement: the Lord be with your spirit. Grace be with you. And I love that Paul ends this way by essentially saying to Timothy, may the Lord be with your spirit, because he has been with me. And I know the help that that's been. And I'm just praying, Timothy, that the same would be true for you. That you know the presence and the power of Jesus in your life. Grace be with all of you, which is a common ending to a lot of Paul's letters. It's a reminder and a declaration of the favor of God. And so what we see at the end of this letter is simply a reminder of the personal nature of ministry and the fellowship of the church. It's about the people, that there is an interconnectedness to this whole thing that extends beyond one local body. That we as followers of Jesus are part of a much bigger thing. It's bigger than our present geography. It's present than our local congregation we're a part of. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than our cultural moment. It's bigger than this moment in history, in the historical timeline that we find ourselves in. It's so much bigger than all of that. It spans through ages and places that are beyond just our own lives. And the reality is that Jesus has been and continues to build his church. And he is going to bring this present age to one glorious conclusion. Something we all have as followers of Jesus the privilege of looking forward to. But in these moments, we are invited to join in on the good fight.